Hello. This is the Top 5 Wild channel again. Nature continues to give birth to animals the existence of which is difficult for us to believe. Have already released about in videos about them, but they don't even plan to end it. Here are interesting introductions to similar ones. We've run out of videos a long time ago, so let's go straight to business. Here on Lake Malawi in freshwater, the water is home to a stunning diversity, thousands of different fish species, more than any other lake on Earth, and among these fish have one very tricky competition. In these waters are tough to catch prey, but everything changes if you pretend prey. These fish skillfully imitate their own death and instantly catches the curious victims. Is the Livingston cichlid master deception. Once upon a time we are talking about this fish already mentioned, but have appeared since then normal footage of her, and it became known more information, because it's not a sin again. Tell her spotted coloring imitates decaying flesh, allows the sly one to simply lie down and wait with naturally looks like she's dead. The fish is not successful the first time catch prey. After several attempts were unsuccessful, then she sailed to another place where her trick has not yet been saw through. The moment when the victim swims close, sometimes the fish even stops his breathing, then suddenly lunge, and prey caught. After success, you should immediately change the location. And again, all it took was falling dead. Million years of evolution and unique the stability of this ancient lake to become a genius of deception. And these are chameleons, well known to you. How you know? Very well, they eat different insects and spiders, but that's what you don't know exactly what this is. Sometimes creatures prefer to eat others. Chameleons, yes, few people know this, but they are cannibals and can easily eat even your child if you are hungry, and the thirst will demand it. In the waters off the coast, North American kelp forests reach the height of a 12-story building. These thickets serve as a source of food for bull shark. This small shark is about the length of half a meter. Very vulnerable. Live here large predators such as huge sea bass weighing more than 200 kilograms, and eel-shaped catfish with large teeth, who eat sea urchins while ignoring the needles. But the biggest danger comes from other sharks, which are here with excess in these thickets. Is better stay in the shade. This fish is looking for food on seabed, but that's just it. Mind by this creature. Angelfish is one of the deadliest sharks living at the bottom of the sea thickets. She is ready to wait a few days. Breathing holes, called spiracles, blow out sand with which her body is covered with a trap ready for the bull shark to stay closer to the seabed. Is a good way avoid most predators. That's just sorry, not didn't even have time to blink. The shark ate them all. Shark does that happen? Not this time. The fact is that bull sharks have secret weapon thanks to sharp spikes. They are not on most menus predators, and even if someone swallows them, then quickly about it. This mother will regret. Gorbaka protects their children while they suck the juice out of plants to devour her children. Here laughs many predators such as ants, but mother knows how to defend herself and easily drops small groups of ants. However, not all threats are so easy. Cope, it's a predator. He's armed. Sharp parts of the mouth and sticky front with its paws. The predator is able to suck life out of her entire brood. Now she needs help from friends from above, and they don't force the bees. Wait for themselves. Immediately they fly to the defense with a hunchback. They are very aggressive to such a predator. Obviously not counted. Mission accomplished. Brood mothers are safe, but bees protect hunchback out of the kindness of my heart. To express myself with the jargon of the 90s, they protect them if tickle the back of the humpback, and she will highlight sweet liquid nectar reward for their defense. I've shown something like this before. Behavior of ants, but as it turned out, bees are also capable of this type symbiosis of these South American marine. The lions went hunting but mowing anchovies. Their competitors have already discovered the most skilled hunters on the planet. Shallow water surrounds a network almost a kilometer long. This way you can catch more million fish, but no sea lions will remain hungry. They have learned to search holes in networks. Why waste energy if food can be obtained so easily? As more and more people stay sea lions, some change their tactics. They line up on both sides network and wait for the network to tighten. Anchovies rush into different. The parties have been waiting for this moment. Sea lions are so effective hunting method that local sea lions changed their natural behavior, and thousands began to attack fishing nets and now whole generations are growing up. Fate is hunted just like that. When the fishermen are serving almost too long warn signal. This means that time came out, and the sea lions start en masse jump out of the net that is tightening to the ship. However, in the turmoil, not everyone those trapped manage to escape. Sea lions are at risk of drowning. Puppies both find themselves separated from their mothers. The parties begin to panic, and then the last moment, the fishermen will not last long. Weaken the net so that those caught in the trap, the sea lions, were able to get out, and finally puppies reunite with by mothers. This plastic ends up in the ocean. Every year hundreds of thousands of tons of plastic fall into the most thrown away are considered deadly. Fishing lines and nets. Every year more than 500,000 animals are trapped and die in these networks of ghosts. However, some animals were able to adapt to plastic waste and use it like a refuge, or even at home. This male Columbus crab hermit clinging to the network may have been drifting for months currents, and now that he is grown up need to find a partner, but where? Of course not here among the nets. Such a crab is not very good swimmers. That's why this male was left to the mercy of fate all this time. This crab was waiting for this turtle. He needed female for reproduction, and therefore turtle, just what you need. While she's gasping for air, the crab quickly swims up to her and climbs onto her shell. And what's the most something amazing is really waiting for him here. Female small crab, they don't waste time to get to know each other and start right away. This couple can mate, stay in place for the rest of your life and perhaps on this turtle. The thing is that a turtle is not exactly a mobile home, but a plantation of excellent turtle food. Benefits from shell cleaning. Crabs eating perfect symbiosis. After tell these crabs that the world is not stands on turtles are a termite mound. They often reach enormous sizes. In each there is a family of 5 million individuals. Everyone works tirelessly for the benefit of the colony and their mothers. They are herbivores, and there are sworn enemies. Ants scout track them by smell. Recognizing their position prey, he rushes to his nest. Competition between these rivals. The species have not stopped for millions now. They have been going on an evolutionary race for years. The scout returned to the nest with intelligence, and the army moves in to hike these large predatory ants. It's time for analysis. One of the most active termite hunters approaching. Termite worker scout gives a signal. A column to disperse is formed, a horde ready to rush forward. And when the scout devotes all his strength to gathering the last order, the colony rushes and attack. But termites have defenders, separate cast of armed soldiers, which protects workers by catching an ant. They're tearing it apart and littering it corpses. But these ants have thrust their own special weapons, poisonous sting in the only weak termite place right between the jaws. With every minute of victims in this eternal, the battle is getting bigger, but the ants' marauders take over termites. The winners gather the losers and carry them into the nest to feed the entire colony underground. Ants demonstrate their highest evolutionary achievements, helping wounded comrades. Someone lost their limb, someone lost one paw, and 3 at once. There are a lot of wounded, but there are working ants. I lick the wounds of the injured individuals. They use antibiotics contained in their saliva for quick healing. Without it, most of the wounded would have died. Now, thanks to treatment, they can again rush into battle. Let the wounded now and not so effective, but will still be. Colonies are also useful in the new attack. They are already ready to go after just 24 hours, even without a pair of limbs in front of you. The only example of how insects using medications to save lives. Friends, the clay in the Amazon jungle is rich various minerals, and this attracts a lot of butterflies, and they in turn attract birds, hunting them. Sun heron, and eat she loves with taste. When a bird catches a butterfly, dips it in salt water, like a sauce for besides. It's easier to swallow a butterfly. Quite unusual behavior for animals. I already showed you once. This bird's tricks are the night heron uses bait to catch fish, but it turns out she can't just use bait, but also don't give it. It can be eaten by those who don't need too much. She can't catch big fish because they swim up to the bait. The night heron is here, takes it back, and then tries again and again, until finally moving to Bali. Locals here, cynomolgus monkeys, suddenly evolved and mastered barter economy. Every morning the flock is sent to the building of its territory. This is a temple. Uluwatu. Crowds of tourists come here every day, so on the temple grounds full of possibilities. If you know where to look, there are always caps and glasses in stock, and if you have mastered the element of surprise, they are easy to obtain. Countless number of robberies in broad daylight happens in this place, but this the crop is not intended for consumption. Monkeys need it as food for trading. People trying to trade their things for food. Monkeys are carrying out unprecedented economic decision-making processes. They notice that most often people want return your phones, wallets, glasses, or it was the oldest people who stole their shoes. Monkeys, and the oldest ones, learned that only phones and wallets are allowed exchange for more food than other things. Young individuals, they steal everything, but then learn that some items cannot be exchanged for I'm eating. If the monkey snatch something really valuable, then she can vary and bargain for a very long time, while a person sometimes she won't find something that interests her. This process may take 10 minutes. Macaques play our own game with us. The game they demand whatever they want. Amazing behavior for 30 years persists in this population. They do not. Monkeys in general slightly shock scientists, and in the wild, we have been surprised for a long time with your intellect. For example, in the dry forest of Brazil, where there are 7, it doesn't rain for months. Black stripes. The Capuchins came up with one very interesting way to get water from a hollow trees, while young individuals are stupid in even trying to reach. Desires for this are very different tools, and everything to get though just a couple of drops, and then greedily peel them off. Older monkeys know what they need. What does this mother need to do to raise her child? And therefore it is important for her to be smarter, so that solve problems. She sticks her tail in the hollow. He can mock like a sponge, and the female starts drinking from him. This unusual ingenuity allows these primates to survive in such harsh places. Young individuals look at adults and adopt this trick. Is passed on from generation to generation. But for example, in the forest in the South Japan with monkeys can be seen at all surreal riding on deer. And the most funny, what do they do? Just for the sake of entertainment is just like people's, but also monkeys sometimes like to catch fleas. Saltwool deer, it's not all that special, like they quickly get tired of monkeys, and they are trying in every possible way to shake them off. But it seems that primates are the only ones provoke. You remember, I once told you talked about fish that swim across the road. If not, then briefly the essence is that the Snoqualmie River, northwestern United States, overflows its banks the time of the rainy season and begins to flow highway, thanks to which salmon migrate to spawn right through. By the way, this leads to the fact that a lot of fish here get crushed by cars. Local animals from this, of course, are delighted to see how fish swimming across the road is a spectacle quite surprising. But it turns out there are fish that have no fish at all. Water is not needed to cross the road. Pineapple, native to Asia. These fish are walk on the ground with their fins for the purpose of move from one pond to another. They can live without water for about a week, of course, in fairly humid conditions. Most often these creatures move to short distances, but sometimes can overcome up to 200 m in a couple of hours. Of fish sliders are very important for science, for fundamental research on how animals came to land. Scientists studying them, trying to understand how and why this happened to the ancestors of the first land creatures. As you know, on the seabed some of the most amazing people live. Some animals on the planet are so strange that they can be easily confused with plants, like these anemones. Of all these creatures I am already a lot told, but didn't say anything about Aridoom nudibranch. Do something very strange. It slowly approaches the anemone and abruptly thrusts his head into them. He does this trick again and again. Amona tries to quickly hide, but this only leads to the fact that the head nudibranch inside its trunk, and their poor anemone nudibranch gives its prey cannot escape. She is firmly rooted in the seabed, and therefore it's worse to eat. The unfortunate woman from the inside come up with anemona protected stinging cells. But nudibranch I don't care. Moreover, by eating them he's stealing. These cells are built into their body, and now they are already protecting him. On this channel I have already many times praised the genius and cunning of killer whales, and when you think what to surprise now, they have nothing more to do with you. They again managed to do it. This time the documentarian managed to film them. Incredibly cunning kidnapping tactics. Baby humpback whale is now mother. Their child carefully swim in warm, coastal shallow waters of Western Australia from the humpback whale's mother and her calf. Very strong connection. Neat placing her daughter under the fin. She has lessons on holding her breath. But they can't stay in these relatively safe waters for a long time, because these whales forced to go on a long journey to more dangerous, but also at the same time the richer waters around Antarctica. As soon as the whales leave safe shallow reef, they immediately hunting geniuses become vulnerable. Here there is a gang of 6 strong killer whales. They patrol the migratory route of whales, represent a formidable force. Mother immediately tries to put his child higher on himself on his back to protect him, and then she herself goes on the attack. Cutting her swing's huge tail and 5-meter-long fins can easily kill any killer whale. But killer whales have a plan from the very beginning, and they adhere to it. Several members groups try to distract mother, while others ramming a child. Follows a powerful wood, then another one, then another. As soon as they manage to separate, they drown the calf and start eating anyway. Such a plan, but it doesn't always work out. It's so easy to implement because you have to go for one incredible trick. For example, there are only 3 killer whales in this gang, and they already can't really rely on brute force. That's why the calf starts to get creative, whom they are now pursuing. Not only is it his mother's side, but still and has accompaniment from Rokatuni male. This makes the task incredibly difficult. What should a killer whale do in such a situation? They are not going to give up and wait for the right moment. Time passes, and they turn around and start floating away. Humpback whale decides what's possible. The killer whales left having lost interest, and now killer dives take their chance. They made a huge hook and went around. They managed to see humpback whales from behind kidnap the calf, and now it begins. The most amazing part of the killer whale play: imitate the behavior of a humpback's mother whale, placing the calf on his back and taking it with him. The child sincerely believes that floats with its protectors, and that's why he doesn't try to escape from them. Young and naive, he willingly swims straight into their trap. Now that he is killer whales begin to move away from their mother to attack him. All this is done to just eat the rest of the whale's tongue. Most often killer whales are not interested in bodies. This carcass will already be eaten by various sharks and other animals during the month. Migrating group of killer whales manages kill up to 5 calves a day. That's what happens when a hunter is unreal smart. But not all sea hunters can travel to look for food. Some are forced to wait while mining. The Sargasso cluster will appear to them algae drifting in the middle of the Atlantic. Sargassum is the only algae who spend their entire lives near the surface. They never attach to the sea, lives at the bottom in a floating plexus of stems. Amazing ocean predator Sargassovo and the sea clown every part of his body. This fish almost imitates algae. Her fins can swim faster, designed for walking. She spins chained to this all my life vegetable raft. This Sargassovo, the sea clown, is hiding and waiting for those who seek shelter among algae. Unfortunately, no one is here anymore. 2 weeks. But thanks to Little Active, he spends very little in his lifestyle. Energies in the desert ocean are like this. A cluster of algae is a welcome refuge for the fish fry, only they don't understand that this algae replace, because in this creature lives with them. And now he has got my first chance to eat in a couple of weeks. He needs to get closer. He can attack only when there are several centimeters from your prey is needed here. Exposure for prey. He is almost invisible. The main thing is not to make sudden movements. Hunger clearly deprives him of his self-control. He is almost the goal did not work out before a new chance will present itself. They can pass weeks in general. Clownfish manage to hunt wherever possible. Once upon a time, I already showed you how they masterfully catch prey in the sea day, masquerading as who can. For example, under the sea sponge. But there is one clownfish trick with which is entering a fundamentally new. The level in front of you is fiery sea urchins protected by deadly poisonous spines, and small fish take advantage of this. Try to stay close to the sea hedgehogs, because between their needles they are in safety from predators. But with this in turn uses the warty clownfish its deceptive appearance. This is a work of art. She is dark and prickly, which visually turns it into now she's throwing away another hedgehog bait like a fisherman standing with a fishing rod. A curious fish swims up, and its fate solved. Yes, nature created a fish that specializes exclusively in hunting among sea urchins. By the way, these are the same ones hedgehogs, which crabs love to kidnap and carry them in their claws to protect them from predators. Even more cunning inhabitant, the seabed stargazer, her eerie teeth and the skull-like head scared neither one. Diver is very fast though, and poorly swimming fish like sea fish. An angel buries itself in the sand, waits and attacks from ambush, but he does it even more cunningly. When the victim still doesn't want to swim over his head, he pulls out the trump card from the sleeve. Is long, similar to the worm's tongue, begins to attract the fish. The astrologer drives it around aisle, trying to imitate more or less realistically the movement of the worm. The fish thinks, what now? There will be a delicious lunch. But there is nuance. Is one of the most common plant pests aphids. I already talked about them repeatedly, told you how you know during the season they breed in unprecedented quantities. Predators hunt them, but aphids do a lot of things they don't even notice. And there are insects that thought it was excellent incubators for their future offspring. Are wasp riders. They specialize specifically in aphids. Sting the victim and lay an egg in it. Then they leave this victim to live on, but life won't be long. A parasite larva develops inside the aphid wasps. In the end, she completely eats, and an adult emerges from the corpse of the aphid, the wasp, which in turn is now itself will begin to infect other victims with the parasite. Only one individual destroys about 300 to 400 aphids. These wasps are so riders effective that they began to be sold in jars with gardeners all over the planet for pest control. Price can go up to $40 per can. You buy it, and just sprinkles these beautiful creatures, their plants, and already through a couple of weeks without using chemicals, there will be radically fewer pests. Balance will be restored further. On our list, unusual creatures are these centipedes. The creatures themselves are quite amazing but glow in the dark, generally out of the ordinary. The only species known to science, centipedes that glow like fireflies, are found only in high mountains of California. But why do they glow? The fact is that the bright colors of other species of centipedes signals their toxicity, what repels predators during the day, but at night the coloring is sometimes not visible, therefore such protection becomes useless. However, glowing centipedes using bioluminescence solve this. The problem is that you can see them perfectly at night. When scientists made clay model centipedes, half of which glowed, then nocturnal predators are more likely attack those who did not emit light, because scientists concluded that what light centipede serves as a warning. What if also take into account that these creatures are absolutely blind and can't see the glow? Friend, then the theory of scientists becomes even more convincing. And now you will see something really strange. This is a female spider gumo. It's egg-laying season for her now. At nightfall, she creates from her silk soft surface. It's pretty. The long process takes 3 hours. And here it is. The nest is ready now. She lays in him as balls, releasing them into a bag from thin shell. Female spider Xeragum lays 400 to 500 eggs at a time. Takes half an hour. Then, completely exhausted, she finds more strength in herself to cover the eggs with cobwebs. Eggs she puts it off at night to avoid predators or frozen by the cold, because she can't move fast. Finally, eggs covered with a soft blanket. Job done, just waiting for the babies to hatch. Months pass. Autumn, winter comes. The eggs feel comfortable and warm. When they sleep, have a wonderful winter. Spring comes, and now already in the clutch of eggs some movement is visible. Baby spiders burst out of them. The mandible gnaws through the spider silk. But stop, I think they look a little weird for spiders. The first children begin to get out from the spider's masonry outward, and they look like anyone but your mother. What's going on? Soon these kids, they also begin to change their shells. Then the wings are filled with life, and these creatures become similar to Bogomolov, only with wings. And then these creatures, those hatched from the spider's clutch, fly away. Who goes where? How is this possible? This story began long before the female spider D0GM decided to lay eggs. Before you female Monty age, she hunts like a praying mantis catches its prey by grabbing at paws. Even the way Monty Aids chews his the victim resembles a praying mantis night, and Monty Aids is getting ready to postpone eggs. Like some other insects, Monty Aids female hangs them on thin threads so that the ants cannot reach the female can reach them in her life, lay up to 3,000 eggs, this amount necessary, because the larvae have Monty Aids has very little chance of surviving. Weak, and the color of the eggs has changed a lot. The larvae are about to start hatching almost simultaneously. After hatching some time, these insects stick together, and as soon as the temperature rises they will split up in search of who do you think? Of course, spiders. Big spiders, not just big spiders, but females. Large spiders. Having found a victim, the spider climbs on her and tries shake off some, but it's like that with everyone. It definitely won't work out now. It's becoming their home. Is the survival of Monty Aids larvae completely depends on her. They are waiting for when the female will lay eggs, and then quickly Monty's larvae penetrate into her clutch. Here Aids provided with food for the whole winter. They walk freely, and when you get hungry grab the spider eggs with their mandibles, and then absorb their body contents quickly. The spider's nest becomes fatter, turned into a well-protected Monty Speeds feeder. Since there's everything here, 10 larvae, they will have no problems. But not things are going so well. In all the nests, in some places, there is a severe shortage of food. For example, this is a clutch of eggs of a hunter spider, and there are too many Monty Aids larvae here. The number of eggs is limited, and therefore between the larvae begin a fierce competition, because they enter into battle and kill each other alive by eating their own brother's mandibles, which they ate. Eggs are now directed against relatives, and they eat the largest ones. Who eat the most in the nest? Spider D0 Goma. There is no such commotion at the end of winter. The larvae will be their pupation. Strange things from my regular viewers channel is already difficult to surprise with unusual animals. In the end, I even talked about animals that eat. It would seem to surprise the earth even more. Can't do anything, but there is one. He is a worm who is ready to argue with this. Eats real stones. Stones are actually not a worm, but a mollusk similar to a worm. They can be found in the rocks where they drill tunnels, eating stone and leaving behind sand. They were first discovered in 2006 here in the Philippines, but only recently they were more or less well studied by the way. This is the origin of those mollusks that live in mangrove wood, and which I'm talking about. Talked in the video about unusual trees. Only a scientist